Almost 24 million people in Afghanistan are now facing extreme hunger. And of those most at risk, over 3 million children under the age of 5 are expected to suffer from acute malnutrition by the end of the year. Added to that, the country is suffering a desperate refugee crisis. The UN believes around 3.5 million Afghans who fled fighting and Taliban attacks are displaced inside the country. Hundreds of thousands more are trying to flee across the border to neighbouring countries. Pakistan, for example, already hosts approximately 3 million Afghan refugees and is reluctant to take on more. Tajikistan has offered to shelter only 100,000 refugees. Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan say they would only offer airspace to help evacuation flights, and it's believed up to 5,000 Afghans are fleeing into Iran every day, where there are already 3.5 million Afghan refugees, many of them undocumented and living in camps. Jan Egeland, the head of the Norwegian Refugee Council, joined us from a camp in Kerman province in Iran, and I began by asking if the world was doing enough to cope with the vast number of refugees now crossing the border.
No, we're not. Iran indeed has 3.5 million Afghans to start with. And what's happening now is that 4,000 to 5,000 people come every single day. That's more each day than the average European country receives of refugees in a year. The Afghan refugees I met today, they told me all of their relatives are planning to go west to Iran and hopefully, as they say, on to Europe. So it's in the interest of the outside world to help Iran, Pakistan, the neighboring countries, to be able to cope with this enormous responsibility of having millions of Afghans already and hundreds of thousands or more on their way.
And what is your sense of the Taliban and their preparedness to receive outside aid, indeed even to court it, to bring it in? I mean, are they with you, or are they stumbling blocks to any kind of help for these people?
Their language, leaders' language to us is all good. We will help you to help our people. Tell us what we can do to help you help our people. But I'm not working on promises. I need local action. So in all of the provinces, we need to get all female colleagues back on work with full rights. We need all girls' education to resume on all levels. We're working on all of these things. We're now in crisis operating mode, in life-saving modus, really. People will starve and freeze to death this winter unless the economy is back rolling and unless we have a pipeline that is much bigger for our aid operations.
Do you have any sense that the world is hearing you and your appeal and is prepared to act? And do we have action on the scale that would be needed?
We do not have action on the scale that is needed at all. I wrote to the World Bank president, I wrote to the Secretary General of the UN wrote back and said, listen, we are doing all we can as a UN institution. Lots of donors tell me, we hear you, we want to help, we just need to be very, very careful, etc. They have to come down from the fence, really. It's a free fall. The girls and the boys of Afghanistan will starve and freeze to death this winter unless we act. And at the moment, we're not. They will wander westwards and eastwards unless more happen inside Afghanistan.
Jan Egeland talking to me earlier.